All right, guys, let's talk about Drake and Spotify. The reality of life is sometimes I'm of the belief that there isn't some odd, strange, crazy conspiracy. If you just look hard enough, the truth is right in front of you in plain sight. And it usually makes logical sense. So I'm starting this conversation not because I've seen the conspiracy theories going around, but because Drake liked something. And I think a like in this day and age speaks a lot of volumes, right? In which academics had posted a post, saying what you can see up there, and apparently Drake liked it. And I've seen a lot of Drake fans kind of speculate and talk about things and have different conversations. However, for me, once the noise got loud enough, I went to go do my own research, right? So much so that I found a piece of my research on the World Wide Webs. You see this post is kind of going a bit viral from Hip Hop Unison. No shade or disrespect to them or anything anyway like that, but they seem to mostly be, you know, positive vibes of Drake on that side. But I saw this today, and it's basically a comparison of sort of these points from a third party site that I use a lot from K-Warp, which they kind of grade how an artist is doing on Apple Music versus Spotify. And there was a discrepancy, and this person posted it today. I'm saying, I know this is my research, and it's going to sound a bit psycho. Just follow me. That squiggle line looks very familiar. It's kind of a handwriting thing. Yesterday, last night in my Discord, I brought this up to my people. I'll show you. You see that? That was yesterday around 10:42 in my Discord. Meanwhile, that post was today. You see the squiggle lines very similar. So I'm just using this to say I've done my own research. I'm sure I have a mole on my Discord. I will find out who you are, but this is not that egregious. Anyway, let's stay on track. Let's keep the conversation flowing. So that was kind of the basis of why I was like, okay, maybe this is something I'll take serious. I'll make a video about this. I had been contemplating on it since last night. And then I started looking a bit more into things. And I'm going to tell you guys a few more things that I saw, but the reality is this. Let me give you the points before I finish this long video. Is there is no conspiracy. It's most likely right in front of us. Why are we just assuming, or why do we think a corporation who almost got into litigation with Drake would do everything in their power to help his project become successful? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when they talk about the connection between Spotify and UMG, I believe UMG just owns a 3% stake in Spotify. Would they have dibs, meaning that, maybe they can make calls to make projects go? This is the music industry. Yes, but I don't think that UMG, who's also pushing this Drake and Party Next Door project, they have a license there in connection with the OVO, Santa Clara / Sony side, or Santa Ana, I'm sorry, Sony side. They have a vested interest to make money. But however, Spotify themselves as a company, what what sort of, I guess, interest or what incentive do they have to help Drake's projects move like Drake's projects used to move after he sort of, in a way, almost harmed their business, right? A motion for discovery to get information and say that they colluded with Spotify. They have none. So, in my opinion, I think that's closer to what's going on here. I don't think they're necessarily Spotify themselves directly or botting things on the other side of town. And I don't think they're necessarily suppressing Drake stuff. I just think they aren't doing what they would probably normally do that was mutually beneficial to them, right? Put more of Drake stuff out there, make Drake stuff more accessible. And also, in turn, people will use them as the preferred streaming service. And speaking of preferred streaming service, let's talk about that. So in that previous screenshot I shared from K-Wall, in which, let me just kind of explain what that is and why I use that and why a lot of people use that. That's a developer side, more like, I guess, tech guide than anything, programming than anything. And they have a certain, I believe it's like a certain developer sort of relationship there where they're able to access Spotify's data a little bit. And then they get the information out and they're able to do their charts. But however, to us, the general public, we don't technically have streaming numbers. But what we do have is charts, all right? So this is what people are talking about. Let's just use the charts because I don't have the streaming numbers. So if you look at the top 100 on USA Apple Music, right? You see that today, Give Me a Hug, Luther, Not Like Us, and a bunch of other records from the Party Next Door and Drake album are on those charts, meaning that these are the most played songs, right? But if you look at Spotify's chart, which is on a slight delay. I believe Apple updates every 5 hours. Meanwhile, Spotify just gives you the previous day. You'll see that none of the records of Drake are on there, right? They don't match Apple as far as Drake is concerned. They do match though for Luther and Not Like Us. You see how it's top 5 here, right? And you see how Luther and Not Like Us is top 5 here. So there's a conversation to be had, right? And you'll notice the rest of the songs on the top 8. For example, The Nile's a River, Who by Jimin is 7 and 8, right? Does not match what we got going on in Apple, right? I will give you an out. You could say, hey, how come I can't argue that Apple is doing something for Drake that Spotify will refuse to do? I have to be that y'all know journalist integrity. I have to give you that. But I'm going to lean more to the side that Spotify isn't doing the stuff for Drake that they would normally have done. And I don't think it's necessarily bottom. I think it's just featuring you more, making sure your stuff moves. And also this is a music business, a relationship business. So you may have lost your relationship over there at Spotify. So if you call somebody and say, hey, our fans are saying that they don't see more of our stuff, can you fix that? That's totally plausible. I think that's what's going on here, not necessarily the other sort of conspiracy claim that they're suppressing the music. You see, there's a small difference there. Now, I also feel as though that Drake himself knows this. His team knows this. They're just not going to tell you guys. Why do I say that, right? Well, they're getting physicals out. Yeah, is it to help the numbers? Yeah, but why would the numbers be harmed? I mean, yeah, you might calculate for the reduction post-beef that you're not having the greatest PR, but you also probably calculated that those numbers on Spotify are not going to be the same when it comes to me charting etc. So I might as well get back into the physicals vinyl game. And this is something that also, let's get Drake out of the way for a second, a lot of other artists are making sure they start doing now, not over relying on streaming. Because what happens when Spotify and Apple don't give a damn about you, right? Last but not least, this one is vibes and a little bit of HQ glaze here, self glaze. I remember I tweeted, if you see at the bottom where I said, I was talking about Nokia. I don't know if this is because this needs a video, but this song needs to be taken off right now. I know a hit when I hear one. It may not be my favorite song on the album. I think it's a very good song, but I know that works. I know that gets TikTok videos. I know, right? But then as you can see, I updated later using some chart numbers and updates from people like Talk of the Charts. And it says Drake Nokia enters the top 10 of Apple Music, up 8 spots from yesterday. There was a little delay there in Spotify. Now, as of today, though, Nokia, I believe, has moved up to either number 1 or 2 on Apple, but on Spotify, it's only about number 16. A little difference there. And I know music. My brain, I'm like, nah, that song works. I don't give a damn about how anybody feels about Drake. So that's where we are. In conclusion, if you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you here, is I don't think Drake is being suppressed. I'm not here. I don't even want to talk about Biden for any other camp. But I do want to tell you that what most likely has happened is what's common sense. There's no conspiracies right in front of you. A company that almost got into litigation with him has now have a damaged relationship with him, and they're not moving business as usual. I think for legal purposes, they won't suppress his stuff per se if the record label and the streaming company have sort of an agreement of how accessible their music should be, but they are most likely not doing any extra legwork to make his stuff more accessible. They're doing most likely the bare minimum, the bare legal minimum.